asked for the OSP as an office to be scrapped. The Speaker of Parliament has also questioned why the large budgetary allocation, since in his view the OSP hasn't really done anything or he hasn't performed. We'll be speaking to Anna Nankoma, who's a legal practitioner, who has a very interesting view on the matters, as we would Professor Ichwesi Prempeh. So the question tonight is, do we scrap the OSP, do we modernize it, or do we leave it alone? We'll answer those questions when we come back.
You're probably wondering how Ebo got here. Oh, Ebo. You see, Ebo is not a bad guy. He's got plans. Big plans. But there's just one small problem. His wallet didn't get the memo. So he decides to take a shortcut. That was a bad idea. And that's how he found himself sitting across area champion, the great Abu Kayoyo. Let's just say, not every quick fix fixes everything. But with a Stanbic loan, he gets the upgrade he needs and the freedom to actually breathe. With a Stanbic loan, the only thing chasing you are your dreams.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
The second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa. Why wouldn't he be late? Obey him later.
Of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. Go be the luckiest. Go be from Georgia be luckiest. From not the block she be luckiest. Me and you go be luckiest. No bugger why you luckiest. Everybody go be the luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Send your God the apple boom. If you put it toy, so would the coming of the son of man be. Is that his car?
Everywhere.
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompt and let us handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Rooted in heritage. Shaped by ambition. Defined by style. Inspired by soul. This is Afro Quality, the first multi-country concept store for African brands. Now in Nairobi, Kigali, and Accra.
Welcome back. So tonight we'll be reflecting on the office of the Special Prosecutor, not by talking to any of the key protagonists in the argument about Mr. Kisie Jabing versus Martin Kpebu or Manasseh versus Sami Dakun. That's not where we're going. We want to understand what led to the creation of the OSP as an independent prosecutorial body. How do we assess its success or failure? And whether there's any merit to calls by MPs for it to be scrapped. So, for example, December 4, Bagbin said, stop throwing money at ineffective OSP. And he was speaking in relation to the office, not necessarily the person. I'll read highlights of that for you briefly. And then Mahama Yariga says, abolish OSP, empower AG to fight corruption. Two very, very serious stories that have come in this week on the OSP. Now, let me start with the Mike Okoye story. Graphic, page 13 today. Story by Emmanuel Ebo-Hoxton and Justice Agbenos. He says, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has come under intense public scrutiny, with some notable personalities calling for it to be scrapped, while others insist it should be maintained to continue spearheading the fight against corruption. Leading the crusade for the OSP to be scrapped is a former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Mike Aaron Okoye. According to him, quote, a special prosecutor may not be necessary at all in the Republic, unquote. In an interview with the Daily Graphic, he explained that the proliferation of institutions was not ideal, calling for the strengthening of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions under the Office of the Attorney General to effectively deal with corruption cases. The story gives the background to the challenges within OSP and Mr. Kpebu. He says the calls for the OSP to be scrapped became more profound after private legal practitioner Martin Kpebu was arrested and detained last Wednesday, December 3, by the OSP. Mr. Kpebu was on premise of the OSP to assist in an inquiry relating to an allegation made by him that the Special Prosecutor Kisie Jabing acted untoward in the investigations against former Finance Minister. He was supposedly arrested after an altercation with a security staff member on the premises. Throwing more light on his stance, Professor Michael Quay said the OSP should be abolished through a private member's bill, with the focus shifted to enhance the office of the DPP. Quote, there was a DPP called Jekedako, and we all know how strong he was and his prosecutorial experience and strength. Professor Quay, under whose tenure as Speaker of Parliament, the OSP was passed. OSP law was passed. He bemoaned the proliferation of institutions to deal with the same things, leading to overlapping and limited results. If an institution is weak, strengthen it. You don't go and create another one, he said, stating the role of investigative bodies such as the National Intelligence Bureau having overlapping roles with other investigative bodies. Now, there's an aspect of the story that my guest in studio disagrees with. So I'll be speaking to A. Sankoma, who, during a lecture he gave a few days, or was it weeks back? A month back at the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, suggested a new institutional arrangement to manage natural resource wealth. In that presentation, he made suggestions about independent bodies and what to do with bodies like the OSP. I suspect the graphic misconstrued those lecture notes to mean that you support Prof. Okwe's views, which I know is not correct. So I've invited Esankoma to explain how he thinks we should go around this architecture of managing corruption or dealing with corruption. I also speak to Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh, who we know is the head of the Constitution Review Committee set up by President Mahama, but who was also instrumental in setting up the OSP law. Ace, let me start with you. Thanks for joining us. I know you correct what the graphic did. How surprised are you that all of a sudden, I won't say all of a sudden, because Okwe, even in the passage of the law when he was speaker, said he had washed his hands off because he wasn't really in agreement. But the majority leader, the current speaker, the former speaker, all saying the office should be scrapped. Is this surprising to you?
Yes and no. How long has the OSP been in place?
2017. So
8 years.
Or 2018. 2017.
Yeah, it's a short period.
Yeah.
I don't think it's evolved yet. When we set up offices, we must expect them to grow and to evolve, and even to make mistakes. We cannot expect 100%, the 80% conviction rate. The lawyers know that the genre of crimes that the OSP is supposed to prosecute, often white-collar crime, is some of the most sophisticated crime. This is not stealing, a dishonest appropriation of a thing that doesn't belong to you. This is not murder. You know, killing a person by use of unlawful harm, intentionally killing a person by use of unlawful harm. White-collar crimes are very sophisticated. That is why in some countries there must even be a predicate offense before there's a secondary offense, etc., etc. That's the first one. So a certain level of skill is required to investigate white-collar crime, which somehow has been missing from our body politic, has even been missing from our Attorney General's department. And that is what, as a nation, we admitted when we set the OSP up. 2, people who engage in white-collar crime are sufficiently well-heeled to hire the best legal talent to raise every possible technical legal objection. And so we also need a bunch of prosecutors who are sufficiently savvy and knowledgeable in these areas of the law to be able to prosecute these offenses. That takes time. Look, how long did it take us to set up the OSP? My learned senior, Mr. Martin Amidu, was screaming his voice hoarse about the lack of facilities. Even Kisie Jabing, when he started, was screaming his voice hoarse as well. It's in recent years that he's been given the money to set the office up. Before the office could crawl, we say, kill the baby. Why are we in a hurry? Look, I'll tell you what. Parliament has a great aversion to all the independent institutions, that even those that are set up by the Constitution.
Parliament has a great aversion to independent constitutional bodies.
I'll tell you what. For years after the Constitution came into effect, the Auditor General had never bothered to assert the independence of disallowance and surcharge. It took us to go to court to get a court order to compel the Auditor General to start disallowing and surcharging. At least according to the World Bank, by the time we killed the Auditor General office again, by declaring the occupant Togolese and declaring him retired all of a sudden, the Auditor General had recovered 65 million cedis for the Republic of Ghana. This is according to the World Bank. Okay. Then we decided that he was doing too much work. But the interesting thing was that in Parliament, there was a debate, I think the vetting of a Minister of National Security, where between the minority and majority, they decided that the decision we went to a Supreme Court for, Occupy Ghana versus the Attorney General, was too bad. They should find a way to go around it. I remember we issued a statement challenging that and they immediately backed down. So whenever the institution starts showing any independence, our Parliament tends to get antsy. Right? And I think that the people of Ghana must tell Parliament, guys, take it easy. Let's allow the office to grow. Let's allow the office even to make, look, yes, there's a lot of learning to be learned. I don't agree with everything they've done. There are lots of things they've done that I agree with as well. I think that, look, we are talking about the whole weaponization of bail. This didn't start today. We've been making this noise about the abuse of bail. If by the police. Why? They arrest you on Friday. When they arrest you on Friday, they keep you in. You are there for about 6 hours. Nobody will speak with you. By the time they speak with you, they say the inspector to sign your bail has gone home. You are in for the weekend. And we all suspect that all of these things are purchased. They are acquired. They are transactional. Right? And so bail has been abused for a very long time. So let's lance that boil. Let's deal with the issue about these onerous bail circumstances. And they know that you can go to court and set it aside. But by the time you get a lawyer and go to court, you've been in jail for a week. So they succeed in doing that. Let's deal with that. Parliament should rather pass a law to regulate the grant by bail outside court so that it is not abused. Instead of Parliament doing that, they want to kill the OSP. Look, the people of Ghana must tell them that, sorry, we don't think that we should do this.
I know you have some suggestions on how to reshape it for it to work better. Let me come to Professor Kwesi Prempeh to see if I can speak to him briefly. Prof, thanks for joining us on the show. Good evening.
Good evening, Bernard. It's been a while.
Yes, you are a busy man working for Ghana, so I call you sparingly. I hope you are fine.
I am doing well. Thank you.
Wonderful. I've drawn you into this because you are one of the people I know thought through this idea of an OSP when the former president tried to set it up. And I suspect you actually wrote the first draft. If I'm wrong, correct me.
I was intimately involved in the process of getting this off the ground, together with my colleague at CDD, Kojo Asante.
So without going back to all the arguments for it, there's a renewed debate about whether the office even needs to exist. And some are rehashing old issues around strengthening the DPP. Indeed, Professor Michael Kwe has led the chorus. We've heard Speaker Bagwin also say he doesn't see why they're giving so much money to OSP when they are doing nothing. And then Mahama Yariga, the majority leader, is also asking for the office to be scrapped. And first and foremost, let's deal with the reason for its existence. What were you trying to do in setting up in the way you did in terms of Article 88, what the AG is supposed to do, understanding the need to separate the Minister of Justice from the Attorney General, and why there must be a special body to deal with corruption by politically exposed persons? Just walk us briefly through OSP 101.
So thank you very much, Bernard. I think the idea, the genesis of this whole thing is basically a structural one. We have an Attorney General who has essentially constitutional monopoly of prosecution. But that Attorney General, under our current dispensation, it's not always been so, but currently in the Fourth Republic, and I think before that, that Attorney General is a politician. Is a political appointee of the president, a member of the president's cabinet, and sometimes actually has been an elected member of parliament. So this is somebody who actually contests on a party ticket, can get elected to parliament, and then he becomes Attorney General, he or she, and then is possessed of this power solely to prosecute any crimes. Now, if we want to fight corruption, and usually this, I'm not saying that this is something that only politicians do, but the idea is that, look, we have had a problem perennially fighting political corruption. Political corruption being corruption involving, politically exposed persons. And how are you going to be able to do it credibly when the person in the seat who must exercise prosecutorial discretion and make those decisions is a politician and a member of the president's cabinet and can be fired at any time, at will, by the president? So the thought was that, look, we need to create some form of insulation between that person who exercises prosecutorial discretion, at least on a small set of cases involving politically exposed persons, so that prosecution of those cases can at least be pursued with some credibility. Because as we've seen, attorneys general in the past have only been able to go after opposition cases of corruption, right? It's very difficult to have an attorney general prosecute. It's happened before, but it's quite rare to have an attorney general prosecute any politician of some real standing in their party while they are in office. And this is not peculiar to Ghana. The whole idea of the special prosecutor actually comes from the U.S. and comes from the Watergate era involving President Nixon. And there was a lot of drama similar to this one, where because the Attorney General felt that if he, I think it was called Richardson or something, if Elliot Richardson or something, if he pursued the Watergate story, he would not be believed. And he came to a conclusion that Nixon had done no wrong, he would not be believed. So he appointed a special prosecutor called Archibald Cox, who then, started prying into the matter and then subpoenaed some tapes from Nixon. And Nixon said, "Who are you?" So then Nixon says to the Attorney General, "Fire this person." The Attorney General basically resigns in protest. And then Solicitor General takes the seat, takes the role of the Attorney General, and it was that Solicitor General who then proceeded to fire the special prosecutor. It didn't end there because ultimately another one was appointed, and that's how the Watergate crisis started. So basically this whole idea, and remember that the US has exactly our setup. The Attorney General is an appointee, a political appointee of the president who serves at the pleasure of the president. And that Justice Department that he heads is also the one that has power to prosecute all federal crimes in the US, right? So a similar situation happened, except that, in the US, over the years, they have built certain practices and conventions around the office of the Attorney General so that in politically sensitive cases, that person doesn't handle them. So they farm off those cases to a special counsel. They are forced more or less to appoint a special counsel who then brings some credibility to the management of that matter because it involves or affects the president. So this is exactly the kind of situation we found ourselves in. And I understand the arguments around the constitutionality of the office and the like. Similar arguments around the constitutionality of the office of special counsel emerged in the US. Ultimately, the law was scrapped, right? But the need for an officer, a prosecutor who is shielded from, the power of the president or the power of the executive and who can bring credibility to prosecution is still there.
But
so
Prof,
you can't run away from it.
Would you say that in the way you set it up, the special prosecutor's office is really shielded in the sense that there appears to be some subservience to the AG in the current arrangement, particularly because Article 88 is entrenched, and therefore, in working your way around his independence, you had to compromise in a way as not to be seen in breach of it without going through the laborious process of the of because all Article 88 tells us
look,
that. So how did you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. It's and I remember very well. We had I think we had an engagement with the Parliamentary Committee on Constitutional and Legal Affairs somewhere in Koforidua. It was a very star-studded committee with all the big lawyers on both sides. It was a tough kind of conversation, right? You cannot do this. It's not very neat. It's not. And remember that we're fairly conservative legal tradition. I mean, we, especially Ghana, we're very conservative legal system, legal tradition. And this is actually quite radical. Trying to carve off a portion of a power that belongs by constitutional fiat exclusively to an attorney general and saying that you are going to loan or donate some of that to a third party who would be nominally under the AG's supervision, but not quite, and all of that. I mean, the independence issue was a tough one, right? And so, yes, I concede that it was not neat, and that there was very little one could do, And I mean, look, I concede, that if you were looking at it strictly, there are difficulties with this arrangement, but there's no way to take the Attorney General's at least nominal supervision out without infringing 88, because the power belongs to this person. It is this person who actually must donate it. So even in the U.S. context, it is the Attorney General who appoints the special counsel, not the president, because the power doesn't belong to the president. It belongs to the Attorney General exclusively. So this is one power. This is the one member of the president's cabinet whose power derives directly from the Constitution is the Attorney General. It doesn't belong to the president. The only thing the president can do is the Attorney General says, look, I'm not going to do this. You can't tell me who to prosecute. The president can fire the person, but the president cannot instruct Attorney General actually as to what they should do. So this is the one office holder in cabinet who sits there with their power deriving strictly from the Constitution, but oddly, they are also subject to dismissal by the president at will. So it's a very dicey kind of situation. And then you are telling this person that, we are bringing somebody else that is not subject to, it's not really at your beck and call to basically exercise some of your power. How are you going to do that? It's not neat. Right? So this is what we try to do. And I understand the emerging drama around and the controversy around this thing, because it is actually, I think, to be expected that when you inject this new kind of foreign element into the body is going to fight it off because it's quite new in our system. And some of the things that, in fact, we have to grapple with in that law, things like non-conviction based asset recovery, not quite the kind of stuff that we are used to. Even some of the conversations we're having around lifestyle audits, unexplained wealth loss. These are very, very new things to our system. We are very, 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 our criminal justice system is very conservative and old, almost archaic. Many of these laws and practices go to the 1960s that are still embedded in our law. So if you're going to bring in this, radically new idea of a special prosecutor, and then you are still thinking about, okay, and then he can do lifestyle audits, and he might do unexplained wealth loss, none of which is really, embedded in our thinking and in our legal thought and practice. I think you have to expect some pushback at some point.
Ace, and I want to bring Ace in as well. Ace, could this be why he is facing problems, in the sense that you are trying to create somebody who will hold the political class accountable in a way that they don't like? No, I mean, so for example, Babin is saying he hasn't done anything. Well, we had AGs for donkey years. How many people has AG prosecuted this year? All right. So it's, in a sense, he's a victim of the meaning of the office. So without even looking at what he's done, he will definitely face a different sort of scrutiny from the political class.
Yeah, and it is expected. It is expected that he will face this. Because he's right. We've tried to carve something out of this a situation which appears quite ironclad in Article 88, especially 3 and 4. At the time the bill was about to be passed, I published an article that there will be a difference between formal independence and substantive independence. right? The substantive independence will be, and the Attorney General will hold her or his hand. If the Attorney General must touch it at all, it will be a light touch. Now, the Attorney General has the power to have a light touch prosecution under Article 88.4, because it says that prosecution shall be as his suit or another person authorized by him. So the Attorney General can decide to go heavy on a matter or go light on a matter. What we have here, Bernard, is a political compromise where Attorneys General are agreeing that when it comes to this genre of offenses, we admit that historically we have been weak and often, in fact, we have failed. Where that is concerned, let's allow this office the room to maneuver and let's see if we can do better. Let's just understand that the OSP Act and everything concerning it requires a political compromise, I think, properly situated under Article 88.4, where the Attorney General are now accepting that we will light our touch where corruption and corruption-related offenses are concerned. Our touch will be light. But because he's also right about something. You see, in 1960, the Attorney General was not only a minister. We could go back to 57, but let's look at 1960. The 1960 Constitution says, subject to the directions of the President, there shall be vested in the Attorney General the responsibility for initiation, conduct, and discontinuance of civil proceedings and prosecutions for criminal offences. So as for that Constitution, it made even the powers of the Attorney General directly subject to the directions of the President. This is one of the things that the 1969 Constitution and constitutions after that kind of reversed by taking out that out and leaving it without that rider, subject to the directions of the President, to give the Attorney General, even in the Constitution, some form of independence. But the reality is that if the Attorney General sits at the cabinet table with other ministers, how easy is it going to be for that Attorney General to prosecute maybe the MP in the next constituency who he ran with and shared money with, they got the same sponsorship, maybe supported each other in the political campaign. But we also should understand that there's history to it, Bernard. At independence, the Attorney General only prosecuted crime. There was to be a Minister of Justice who was a liaison between the Attorney General and the government.
Okay.
That's 1957. And so the minister was then Jeffrey Beng. But the Attorney General was one Mr. Patterson. And when the strongest Asante-Volta alliance...
NLM?
happened, no.
Which one?
This is the regional councils,
Okay.
which were supposed to be formed when the 1957 Constitution came into effect. And the Asante Council appointed one B.L. Tamaklo as its chair or speaker. And Jeffrey Beng said, no, he's an outsider. He's from Volta. He can't be in Asante. So he issued an opinion. When he issued the opinion, the CPP government then instructed Mr. Patterson to go to court. Patterson refused. He said, sorry, under the 1957 Constitution, I'm not subject to your direction or control.
Wow.
One, I disagree with Jeffrey Beng, but even if I did, I will not go to court. Then what happened? The CPP minority in Asante went to court and won and stopped Tamaklo from becoming the speaker or chair of that council. Once that happened, Patterson's position became untenable.
He had to resign.
So he quit and went to what is now Zambia to become Chief Justice. The office of Attorney General became open. And Jeffrey Beng applied. He ran against another person who was from the British Colonial Service, a judge from the British Colonial Service. Beng got accepted, but that was in the midst of the drafting the 1960 Constitution. And so when he assumed the office, he literally surrendered it to the then government, and we've lived with it to date.
So that's the history behind this.
That's the history behind the Attorney General being a minister. At independence, the Attorney General was not the minister. Attorney General became a minister in 1960.
Following this small story.
Yes, but what is more interesting, both 1968 and 1978, the Constitutional Commissions recommended an independent Attorney General. And there's not much time to read it, but led by Akufo-Addo the Senior, and then Thomas Mensah in 1978-79. They recommended that even if the Attorney General was still going to be the chief legal advisor to the government, it should be an office that is away from the government. Both constituent assemblies rejected the two and still nailed the Attorney General to the apron strings of the government. As for 1992, I've read it. It doesn't mention it at all. So there's an evolution. But you see, what we came to a realization that when it comes to corruption and corruption-related offenses, we have a problem. And so we have tried to deal with it with this OSP situation. 8 years is too short a time. And you see, there's a problem sometimes with Ghana. Where is the scientific evidence that they've done nothing? Can we see the score? Can we point to an analysis from the Attorney General's Department on conviction rates per year?
Compared to OSP?
To compare, to see whether it is the same. And like I said, look, economic offenses and non-economic offenses are very different. Economic-based offenses that is why we have set up an IOCO, an economic and organized crime office. Why didn't we leave it to the police? We admit that when it comes to economic crimes, it is more complicated. There used to be an economic crime unit of the police, but it was not functioning. So we went to Parliament and set up an IOCO.
So we have admitted that there are certain crimes that require specialized.
People say, equip the Attorney General's Department. Why didn't we equip them? Because we know that even if you equip them, the Attorney General is ultimately subject to the instructions of the executive, right? And so, in fact, if you look at my proposal, I'm even prepared to go a step further. IOCO should be brought under the...
I'll come to your proposal.
Yes,
I want to take a short breather. When I come back, I'll ask HKP whether they put in place enough measures to protect the office and the person, because as we know, some people have filed specific petitions against him. We're not going into the merits, but I remember again the debate around this. Some people were saying that even the way the person should be removed, if it's not properly calibrated, when he begins his work, it will be very easy to remove him, which is something we've seen. This is the point of view tonight. We're discussing calls for the scrapping of the office of the Special Prosecutor versus modifying it or leaving it alone. I have two guests who are helping me think through this. Stay with us.
When malaria strikes your home, it strikes everything. No more endless worry because of malaria. Fight malaria back with Vegetem. Vegetem is effective, safe, and fast-acting against malaria. Vegetem tablets stays effective right to the very last tablets. Vegetem is also available in suspension for children. Vegetem, tough on malaria, easy on you.
Papa no no, papa no no, papa no no, papa no no, no, papa no no, Ankasa. Polytank is everywhere, durable and authentic. Stronger brand you can trust. Polytank, we get some more Rambo and get some more super. Any Polytank we did.
Polytank, papa no Ankasa.
His uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswati. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be later?
Of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. Yeah, you go be the luckiest. Coffee from Toja be luckiest. From not the cause she be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest. Everybody go be the luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Send your God the apple boom. If you put it at all, so would the coming of the Son of Man be. Is that his car?
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Welcome back. So tonight, the question, we've put it in three ways because some people are saying scrap the OSP. Mahama Yarga is leading that bunch. Secretary Professor Michael Quay as well. The office should go. Some say leave it alone. And when I hear Kwesi Prempeh and even Kojo Asante of CDD, they're saying, look, just leave it the way it is. But I suspect you you feel like you can tweak it to make it better. So what are you proposing?
Well, it's a relook at the Constitution. We have to look at Article 88, 3 and 4.
Okay.
My conclusion.
By the way, let me read 88, 3 and 4 for the sake of non-constitutional lawyers, because I think we've referred to it about 4 times. 88, 3. All the Attorney General shall be responsible for the initiation and conduct of all prosecutions of criminal offences. That's 3. 4. All offences prosecuted in the name of the Republic of Ghana shall be the suit of the Attorney General or any other person authorized by him in accordance with any law.
In accordance with any law. So in accordance with the law, the OSP, my argument is that falls under this thing. Okay, so having studied the whole constitutional history of the Attorney General's office, I think that I think that maybe the situation at the time compelled Bing and Nkrumah to surrender the office to the presidency. 60 years down the line, it's time to take 65 years, it's time to take a look at it again. Has it served us well? And I think that Parliament passing the OSP Act is the biggest admission, conceding that when it comes to corruption and corruption-related offenses, we have the Attorney General's office has not done well. And like I said, the reason is that 1, economic crimes are very difficult to prove and prosecute, and 2, they get some of the best lawyers. They raise objections that sometimes the lawyers prosecuting haven't even come across before. You send a policeman to prosecute an economic crime, the police prosecutor, you get a good lawyer, he or she's going to dance around the prosecutor, raise all kinds of objections that we've been in court paying watching brief for police prosecutors. It's not easy. If a good lawyer comes in there, he or she basically has his way. So if we have lawyers who are trained in that, then and investigators who are trained in that, so the investigation and the prosecution, then we are more likely to get results. Because the things are going there, and the Attorney General is filing only prosecutor. Because look, they are filing only prosecutor because they are losing. They are losing, and to stop the loss, they file only prosecutor and enter into some agreements, and then they announce it to us. And we know it's a bit unsatisfactory, but we stick to it. So Bernard, my view is that the energy that led to forming the OSP, and I think they are showing a lot of energy, should be matched with the quiet stability of the Director of Public Prosecutions, which is the branch of the Attorney General's Department that prosecutes all crime. My view is that we cannot trust any government with criminal prosecutions, because we've seen that it favors their friends, they withdraw when they like. But we could be prosecuting people, and on the night before a handover, a bunch of nulli prosecutors are filed that discontinues all of them. And I ask, so did you believe it when you were trying them that they were guilty? If you did, why should a change of government lead to filing nulli prosecutors the night before government is changed? You can understand that there's been political horse trading for prosecution. It means that you were actually just tormenting those people. You knew they were not guilty of the offense. Or you know they are guilty of the offense, but for political considerations, you're scaling back. And so this is my theory. We cannot trust them with this. And so let the entire criminal prosecution wing of the Attorney General's office be hived off. Let it be merged with the Office of the Special Prosecutor and IOCO into an independent National Prosecutions Authority headed by a civil servant.
Let's say it again. Hive off the criminal prosecution side of the AG.
That's the Directorate of Public Prosecutions.
Merge it with IOCO.
To investigate economic offences, and merge it with OSP.
And let a civil servant,
a civil prosecutor,
like the DPP type.
Like the DPP type. Not appointed by, we can discuss the appointment process. Because like I said, excellent is often the enemy of better, right? Let a civil servant, a career prosecutor, be in charge, taking note that career prosecutor, in my view, or that department should have judiciary quality independence. We can argue as to whether or not the judiciary in Ghana is independent, but this is what we have. So that the independence will show in political independence, which means that they are not subject to the direction and control of anybody, just like the Constitution provides for the judiciary. They will have also administrative independence. So political independence, administrative independence, which means that they have security of tenure, they cannot be fired at will, and then even financial independence. arguably, even the judiciary has not achieved financial independence yet. But it's a journey. We haven't arrived at the destination. Whatever it is, I think that office should have judiciary quality independence. Yes, the police will still investigate crime, but this office will be the ones to prosecute. This office will be the office to prosecute, so that we can be sure that there's hopefully little to no political interference in deciding who should be charged with an offense and who should not be charged with an offense, or who gets a nolle prosequi in the middle of the night. It dovetails into the issue of nolle prosequi. It's a bit technical.
But before that, if you remove the DPP from the
Attorney General
and merge it to EOCO and OSP, what becomes of the Attorney General's department?
The Attorney General's department has 3 other key functions. If you go back to 88, 1, the Attorney General is the principal legal advisor to the government.
They will still do that.
2, the Attorney General is the Attorney General who initiates and defends civil legal action against the government, for or against the government.
Civil.
3, there's also the legislative drafting wing, which helps Parliament. When Parliament has decided, they put it in the legislative drafting language. And there are other ministerial support services that the Attorney General's department can provide. So
but the criminal prosecution,
which is just one of the legs, if it's taken away, it has enough legs to walk.
So then the AG will still be a politician.
Still be a politician. I believe in that. The AG should be a politician who sits there and advises them at the table.
But then merging EOCO, OSP, and DPP
takes criminal
and then
prosecution away.
Debate how to choose the head.
Oh, that is not an issue. We can start the debate.
Which means you believe that the DPP has enough professional prosecutors.
We'll then have. You see, we are pouring a lot of money into the OSP. Imagine that we're doing it to one body, appointing bright students from school, bright lawyers, paying them well to do prosecutions, right? Strong lawyers who can stand the even strong lawyers that the accused persons will bring to court. Imagine that we had people like that.
Can match them boot for boot. Like there in America, they are prosecutors and they are defense lawyers from beginning.
From beginning, they can match them boot for boot. Right now, they are not matching them. The defense attorneys are having their way.
Because you're right. It seems like the prosecutors, I don't think they're as well paid.
Well, that's one.
And
issue.
Also the independence.
So if they have financial independence, they get the budgets. And I agree. Man, let me tell you a story. The financial independence thing is a bit touchy. And I'll tell you because I think I have the permission to do it. There was a time when the government was slashing the judiciary's budget. The Bar Association got angry and called lawyers together that let's take the government to court. Because if you slash the judiciary's budget, what is the judiciary going to do? I think the government heard that the Bar was about to do it. Within that week, they reversed it. So you see, it's not everything that comes out there. But in the background, a lot takes place, and I'm confident that we can fight for financial independence for the judiciary, for the Auditor General, for SHRAJ, for an independent, and I will also argue a national the Mineral Resources Commission, a national Natural Resources Commission.
Your fight against Galamsey is a big one. I'll come back to that when we come back. I'll let you explain this.
But so just to round up, I think that there is room for this, but we need a specific constitutional amendment.
For this type of thing?
For my proposal, we need a constitutional amendment.
We'll be right back. This is the point of view. Tonight we're talking the OSP. Scrap it, leave it alone, or refine it. We'll be right back.
Almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswati. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late, of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. Yeah, you go give me the luckiest. Go feel from Georgia be luckiest. From not the cause she be luckiest. Yeah, you go feel be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest. Everybody go feel be that luckiest.
God, Kwame!
Send your God the apple boom. If you put it toye, so would the coming of the son of man be. Is that his car?
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Attention all State Housing Company Limited homeowners, landowners and clients. From November 3rd to December 31st, 2025, the State Housing Company Limited is giving you a 15% discount on all outstanding payments.
Oh yes, pay less on your ground rent, land regularization, lease renewals, consents to develop or assign and service charges, and secure your ownership today.
Visit any SHC office nationwide to make your payment in full to benefit from the 15% discount.
You can locate the State Housing Company Limited at Ring Road West, adjacent STC Yard and Accra Digital Center.
For more information, visit our website www.statehousing.gov.ga or call 0302-221-422 or 0552-725-656 or 0503-083-393. Remember, this offer ends December 31st, 2025. Don't wait, pay less today.
We're still on the point of view tonight. I have two big legal minds, Professor Henry Kwesi Prempeh, who chairs the Constitutional Review Committee, thinking through the OSP. He wrote the first law that we are now using. Sankoma has a proposal. He says, hive off criminal prosecutions from the AG. Let that DPP unit be merged with IOCO and then the current OSP into a truly independent prosecutorial body for criminal prosecutions. AG has three other roles: advise government, civil prosecutions, and legislative drafting. That will really give some heat to the prosecution. Prof, what do you make of your friend's legal innovation? Sankoma he didn't put this in an article. He actually presented this during a Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences lecture, so this is not something flippant. He's actually thought through this. What are your initial thoughts around this?
I asked him for a memo for the committee. He didn't bring this one.
Because I wanted, I sent it to you.
but I think I mean, he's solving a problem, right? I mean, the proposal solves a problem we're dealing with, right? And this is actually exactly how the Kenyan Constitution solves it. So the Kenyan Constitution 2010, remember that we come from the same legal tradition. Their experiences with corruption are probably even worse than ours. And basically, they came to the conclusion that they just needed to yank off the criminal prosecution power from the AG in order to save the day. So they have given it to a DPP. That's a constitutional office. So they're giving all criminal prosecution to a DPP, and that DPP is a constitutional office holder. Appointed by the president, but through a process. I don't think it gives it insufficient independence, especially because of the term. But we can learn from that and basically innovate around that, because they've gone that way. We can look at it and say, okay, what are the pluses and minuses here, and we can do same. We may, however, also choose a different model, which is that the real problem we're faced with is with prosecution of corruption, right? So ACE's proposal basically takes all general crimes everywhere and says, look, anybody who is doing any criminal work at all, just let's put it under one umbrella, National Prosecutorial Authority, OSP, Yoko, anybody doing criminal, we'll put it there and then they will handle it. That's one way to go. You could also say that, look, we can basically carve out the problematic areas where there is apparent or actual conflict of interest, which is, it's not that it's only corruption. Sometimes murder cases also present, conflict of interest problems because they involve politically exposed persons, right? So in favor of AC's argument, you would say that, look, it's not only corruption that presents difficulty because of politics. There are certain crimes that a politician, attorney general cannot easily prosecute because of who else is implicated on the other end. It may not be a corruption case. So his solution, one size, like a one-stop shop for all criminal matters, would solve the problem. You could do it a limited way. So let's say if you couple together what work anti-corruption work SHRAJ is given, which is investigative, but it's anti-corruption. You couple together the OSP and you couple together, some other ones and say, look, everybody doing corruption work, we can create a separate prosecution for corruption only, because that's what we really want to solve. And when we will dedicate anti-corruption resources for prosecution only in that one office. Then you would leave, in that case, the general crimes with the AG department, right? The reason why that solution could also be attractive is that, there is always a policy element in fighting crime. You don't want the politicians to micromanage particular cases, but sometimes you do want a situation where they can make certain policy decisions around how we're going to deploy our scarce resources to fight corruption. So if you say that, look, Galamsey is the biggest threat, so we're going to dedicate a lot more of our prosecutorial resources this year to fighting corruption. That's a policy decision with fiscal implications, budget implications that politicians would normally make. So you could say that we still keep some general crimes with the AG's department, and then but actually I'm a bit agnostic about, I think as long as it solves the problem we're trying to fight, which is corruption, as long as it takes corruption cases and it can add other ones, but as long as the corruption cases are included in the cases that the AG, a politician AG, may not handle, I'm fine.
All right.
You can also then decide that you can go back to the old model, where in some jurisdictions the AG is a civil servant, like the DPP. Then you solve the problem out that way. So I think the menu of options around that are emerging are fine. They are all directed at solving a problem. And for me, that's what matters.
A quick one for you. We've seen about 3 petitions, or we've heard, I haven't seen, that there are 3 petitions against the current OSP. Do you think the threshold for removal of the person in charge of the OSP is high enough? And again, without going into the details, because I haven't seen what the petitions include, but I remember Mr. Amidu and co. were worried about the provisions around how they could be removed. And they felt that it didn't really guarantee their independence. When you reflect on what the provisions for the law says about removing an OSP, having in mind that we have had a CJ removed, and there's already a process some people have tried to trigger to remove the EC chair as well.
So basically, this is from what you've said so far, this is just a rhetorical question, right?
No, I'm just asking.
Actually, I must confess that as I sit here, I really do not remember the removal provisions. I haven't seen the act in a long time. I haven't taken a look at it. And remember that which is to correct you, I really didn't write the law. We made certain drafts and contributions and memos and others that evolved over time. So at some point, I think, if my memory serves me right, the removal provisions were linked to, or maybe not the removal, maybe Court of Appeal. I don't remember. Seriously.
You are doing too many things. Yeah, but I think the CJ has to get involved at some point.
Yes, I confess to you that I had not really followed.
No, Ace has the information. Yeah, don't worry. It's what is it?
It's similar to what happens to a Court of Appeal judge, a Superior Court judge.
That's correct.
Yes. So the same process, proven misconduct,
etc. Same thing.
Same thing. Same 146 process.
It will be same thing. It will be same thing. Yeah. So maybe. So really, I don't. I mean, I think basically, look, I mean, this office is new. This is correct. I mean, it's a very new office. We are not used to it. It's like I said, foreign matter, entering our body, and we're not used to it. There are many things down the line that we could do to fight corruption that we are not used to and that we are resistant to, including, like I said, lifetime audits, unexplained wealth loss. This is where the trend is globally. Established democracies are doing it this way. There's no other way, given the evolving technologies and everything, to fight corruption the way we're doing it. So we must basically be ready for more innovative ways of doing this thing. If we want to remain in the same old mode that, this is Attorney General's function, it's constitutional, you can't fight it, right? Basically, you just have to innovate around this problem. And I agree with Ace that, the problem we are facing now calls for a constitutional solution. Basically, that's how we resolve this impasse. If we don't, we will start litigating around it. The office will basically disappear. It will disappear at some point if we don't solve the problem. But if we are really serious about solving it, there is no shortage of ideas, innovative ideas to deal with the problem. There are comparative models around. We can innovate our own. Like I said, the SRAG is there. We can leave SRAG to do ombudsman and human rights work. There's plenty of that work to do. We can take out that anti-corruption function, couple it together with OSP's function or Yoko or whatever, and then create a separate independent body that does only corruption. If that is not good enough for us, we can go the ACE way. We can go the National Prosecutor Authority way, where we just do all general crimes, everything under one. And then, we can do that too.
Wow. Yeah. I hope the work you are doing for the state is going well. The Constitution review.
Yeah, it is. We are done. We're done with all our meetings. We had meetings way into October. Some meetings that were basically almost, obligatory. We had to have them. So it's pushed things a bit far. I mean, we had meetings in November actually. So, but now, yes, we're in report writing stage, and so we should be done.
And you've already lost all your hair. You've already lost all your hair in the job. So I wish you.
As a result of my barber.
I wish you well. Thank you, Prof.
Thanks a lot. It's been a while. Take care.
Yes, good. Let me give you the last word. What are your closing thoughts on this?
Look, the main beneficiary of killing the OSP office prematurely is the politician. The vast majority of people who have been taken through the special prosecution system for weal or for woe have been politicians. It is therefore not surprising that the loudest squeaks are coming from the people who have been suffering at the hands of the OSP. The people of Ghana should look at that very carefully, right? But like I said, we need and I agree with Kwesi, we need innovative thinking at this moment. It is not simply to say kill it. Because once you do that, they are still not going to resource the Attorney General Department. We'll just be back to status quo and would have wasted 8 years of learning, 8 years of experience. I think they should pipe down on it, and let's explore more ways to do this. Ultimately, like I said, I think a constitutional amendment is what is key. But let me add one last thing. That, you see, one of the reasons why we need this independent body is on the issue of nolli prosequi, where the Attorney General can decide at any time not to prosecute an offense anymore. And our Supreme Court has held that they don't owe anybody an explanation, not even the Supreme Court. And the reason is that the Supreme Court says, look, this is a separation of powers action. It's an executive action. We as the Supreme Court cannot ask them why they discontinued a crime, a prosecution. This is the Gregoria Foco case. There was a minority decision by Justice Puaman, which was like, no, time has gone past. We need to force them to tell Ghanaians why they are not continuing some offenses. But the majority said no. Bernard, interestingly, Section 52(4) of the Criminal Prosecution Act 30 says that where the special prosecutor enters a nolli prosequi under subsection 1, the special prosecutor shall state reasons for doing so. Because the special prosecutor then is not considered a part of the executive. And so when we take away prosecutorial powers from the executive and give it to an independent institution, that independent institution will be more accountable to Ghanaians. so that if they discontinue a criminal prosecution, Ghanaians can go to court to say, tell us why you are not doing this anymore. To the credit of some AGs, like Marietta, Marietta Apiopon, she actually explained why she did some prosecutions. Dominic Aina has done a couple of them, right? I think that is the way the world is going. And we cannot say that, let's go back to 1960, surrender the AG to the presidency, and leave it in the hope that we can strengthen it. We have had 65 years of this, and this is the scorecard. We can't go back.
Nkrumah is a private legal practitioner. Professor H.Kwesi Prempeh is also a lawyer. He is the chair of the Constitutional Review Committee. Thanks for watching tonight's edition of The Point of View. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.